We near my boat. $100 million. Bricks, one bricks, I'm in need. Bricks, we gotta get breed. Bricks, one bricks, I'm in need. Hello. No. No, it's not the city. Hey, hey, hey. No name, no name, no name, no name, no name, no name. Burger bags. Hello. Vits, you know man, huh? You know man, that Vits. How you wanna do that, Vits? Yeah. I'm out there, baby. Playing town, and it's like a midi. Hold home, and cold hard gripping. Cold hard gripping, man. Doing the guinea, you know, right? I'm gonna get it. Hello. No. Me no private feelings, no start on me thing. I mean not just some work academic ties me dreams. And if me no rate, I mean no cool on your people. Me no want me no link, so me know if you will not. If me can't buy a split, much less see buy a drink. Never grew up. Hello, Zav, you good? I'm a fan of a cup, so me mother never grew a whim. Me no pride to be people, no pride to be people. No the people, I be pride to be me. Just hide me in the streets and me out that night. Mother they read my baby. Me no love life. No one that does it for us a better boss fight. Pick up by your camera, make sure no fly. Better you suffer the consequence cause you love I. I to me see enemy own, enemy own. I can't so the mic can't style me.
Hello to you, wherever you happen to be. This is the scene here in the French capital, Paris. We're at the Parc des Princes on a glorious day for football. I'm Derek Ray, joined here in the commentary position as always by Lee Dixon. And without doubt, a match with the potential to bring genuine excitement. And what a game this promises to be, Lee.
Yeah, Derek, cracking atmosphere as usual here. That will lead to a nervy, energetic start. Frenetic, fast play to begin with before it all settles down. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Can he put them ahead? Oh, that was a terrific stop in a 1-versus-1 situation.
Well, high fives all round for the goalkeeper. Absolutely fantastic.
Punching it clear. This is the lineup for the home team. Thibaut Courtois begins in goal. Jordi Alba plays with Hector Bellerin in the wide defensive positions. And it's two strikers up front who'll look to... Can he put them in front? Yes is the emphatic answer. And you have to say it was on the cards.
But I'm always right.
Well, let's see the replay and look at the pace at which the counter-attack happens. And when he gets through to the keeper, he just smashes it past him, gives him no chance to think. A lovely finish.
Griezmann. Losing possession. Dembele. Just cutting off the supply. Griezmann gets himself into the attacking third with the ball at his feet. Griezmann. And he read it well, intercepting it. Sissoko. How about the cross? Now Sissoko. Griezmann. There wasn't much in that offside decision. Could have been in business. Sissoko. Now Griezmann. Joao Felix. And still danger here. Martial. And has he got to do it, Martial? He's foiled them on his own. Hazard. Well, they're on the scent of something positive. Won it back. I'm living like good, I only come out every night time. She don't fuck with liquor, don't like being tipsy. She don't do the hit, just white wine. On the ball, Joao Felix. Committed challenge. Effective pressure to regain possession. Was a move of great promise. They could easily have been in.
But I'm always right. So I know how to shoot. And I know how to fight.
Griezmann. And a goal to square the game. Edge of the seat stuff.
Well, we'll see it again now. Was he aiming high? Pretty much looks like it to me. Leaning back slightly, he knows the ball's going to go just underneath the bar.
So, a level contest, 1-1. The attack carried promise, but petered out. Martial. It's been whipped towards the near post. Oh, can you believe what we just seen? I think we're going to be viewing that goal time and time again.
Well, here's the replay. It's a really dangerous ball into the penalty area, and the timing to get this spot on. Yes, it needs a bit of luck, but boy, does it need skill as well. It's a brilliant goal.
Frankie de Jong. Well-timed tackle. Can they hit on the break? Martial. In it goes! 2 goals in rapid-fire fashion and looking very comfortable here.
Well, here's the replay, and it's a lovely quick counter-attack that sets up the chance. And once he gets himself settled with the keeper to beat, he hammers it into the back of the net. Smashing goal.
De Jong. Joe Gomez. Here's Wan-Bissaka. Dembele. Hazard. Oh, he's given it. The referee says penalty, and an opportunity for them to pull one back here. Well, that could be his final rebuke, I think, and the referee's making that absolutely clear.
Well, I like that, Derek. Good refereeing. Nice and strong.
A goal! Calmly taken spot kick.
Well, here it is again. How cheeky is this, Derek? It takes some confidence to carry this off. The Panenka. Don't you just love it?
3-2 it is. Who would have predicted that before a ball was kicked? Showing a real will to win the ball. Aouar. On the ball, Joao Felix. The referee spotted the infringement, and it will be a free kick in a position of genuine menace. Real danger. And a goal! Cause for celebrations again. 2 in front.
Well, here's the replay, and it's a decent move to evade the defender, and still with lots to do. He unleashes a very powerful effort, gave the keeper little chance. Lovely goal that was. The visitors have had total control of possession, but they have to create more, they have to be more positive. The final third play has been slow, too predictable.
N'Golo Kanté. Joao Felix. Good tackle. Eden Hazard. Oh, what an opportunity. Hazard! Almost his second goal of this match, but the goalkeeper had his own views on that subject.
Well, he'd be looking for a brace, the striker, not to be on that occasion.
A bit of running room now on the wing. Possibilities. Joao Felix! He's gone and found the net! Brilliant piece of finishing! Magnificent goal!
What's free? Free is when nobody else can tell us what to be. Free is when the TV ain't controlling what we see. Told my niggas I need you. To all the fame, you know I stay true. Bring my niggas stay free.
And that is that for the first half here in the French capital.
Before I'm done by 12, put a 12 on my feet. Told my niggas I need you.
So much to like about what Antoine Griezmann has done so far in this game, Lee.
Well, Derek, with some players, you can allow them a little more time and space in the box, but not with this lad. One of the best at exploiting that space. Another goal today is proof of that.
I never seen on this rich. I'm from the south where they never made it this rich. God is the greatest mistake has been on this shit. Walk in the pavement, I pray I'm illuminated. Over a decade and never nobody's favorite. Body hero go hand in hand like
Plenty to consider based on what we've seen so far as the second half begins.
you was dead broke, I let you hold it back. You paid for screaming gang gang, now you wanna rap. Racketeering charges caught him on the desk. Looking for a bond, lawyers wanna tax. Purple hair got them faggots on your best friend. Free is when nobody else can tell us what to be. Free is when the TV ain't controlling what we see. Told my niggas I need you. Do all the fame, you know I stay true. Bring my niggas stay free. Made a few mistakes, but this ain't where I wanna be. Before I'm dead by 12, put a 12 on my feet. Told my
that.
20 million cash, they know I got that up for rap. Maybe it's the Michael Rubens or the Robert Krafts, or the billionaire from Marcy in the way they got my back. See how I prevailed and they tried and I be back. Lock me in the cell for all them nights and I won't snap. 250 is show and they still think I'm selling crack. When you bring my name up to the judge, you tell them back. Tell them how we funding all these kids to go to college. Tell them how we teaching all these wars stopping violence. Trying to fix the system in the way that they designed it. I think they want me silent. Oh, say you can see. I don't feel like I'm free. Locked down in my cell, shackled from ankle to feet. Judge banging that gavel, turned me to slave from a king. Another day in the bing. I gotta hang from a string. Just for popping a willie. My people run to the city. From a cell to a chopper, you run on top of the city. You can tell how we rockin' soon as I pop up. We litty poppin' like Bad Boy in 94. Big poppin' and Diddy and niggas counting me out. Like my account ain't busy. That's 5 million 20. Sit up and count to I'm busy. Paid up 500,000. 100 round in the city. Is we beefin' a rabbit? I might just pop up with Drizzy. Like what's free? Free is when nobody else can tell us what to be. Free is when the TV ain't controlling what we see. Told my niggas I need you. Through all the pain, you know I stay true. Pray my niggas stay free. Made a few mistakes, but this ain't where I wanna be. Before I'm judged by 12, put a 12 on my feet. Told my niggas I need you. Stay up, I know these times ain't true. Real life was free. In the land of the free where the blacks enslaved. 3/5 of a man, I believe, to pray. I'm 50% of Duce and it's that free. Yeah. 100% of Ace of Spade, worth half a beat. Rock Nation, half of that, that's my piece. 100% entitled to bust it up with my cheese. Smoke my niggas won't ever work together. You run a checker, but they never give you leverage. Separate you when you got Michael and Prince to your name. I ain't one of these house niggas you bought. My house like a resort. My house bigger than yours. My spot. Come on, man. My route better, of course. We started without food in our mouth. They gave us pork and pig intestines. Shit you discarded that we ingested. We made the project a wave. You came back, reinvested and gentrified it. Took niggas sense of pride. Now how that's free? When them people stole the soul and hit niggas with 360s. I ain't got a billion streams, got $1 billion. Inflating numbers like we supposed to be happy about this. We was praising Billboard, but we were young. Now I look at Billboard like, is you dumb? Grandma, pray what I might say. They gonna have to kill me, grandmama, I'm not their slave. Check out the bazaar, rapping style used by me. That HOV look
this way enjoying?
Carefree. Niggas ain't nasty, enjoy your change. But you employ your name with the hairpiece. I survived the hood, can't no shot can't rob me. My account's so good, I'm practically living tax-free. Factories, that's me. Sold drugs, got away, scot-free. That's a CCE copy. Guilt-free, still me. And expect me to not feel away. To this day, you would say, y'all kill me. Sucker free, no shucking me. I don't job turkey. Say happy Thanksgiving, shit sound like a murder to me. Smoke free, all of y'all calling out toll free. Label rob you for millions, yet you wanna put a hole in me. Sugar free, season but I'm so free. You lay a hand on hold my shooter, shoot for free. I promise World War III. Send an order through a hand speed. Kill you in 24 hours, the shorter you can't ignore the hand speed. On God, it's off the head, it's improv, but it's no comedy. Sign I fail, hell nah. Niggas spraying they juice. My bitch love Coco. Who asked me? Who asked me? Yeah. Let me see some. Okay. You cannot take profit, forget the smoke. I'm from the floors where niggas talk. They gonna be cribs, so they turn those. Driving through the veil, dropping the joke. I got a lot to get niggas jokes. But like, who is niggas? I don't know. But I'm on go. And I'm in that Bugatti. Moving too hard. Living butts like who shot you?
Can't do this for very long. So that's why Stark needs to make impact with it straight away. Talking to a few fast bowlers
Man,
and
what?
fast nasty. How much effort it takes to bowl the effort ball, I guess, the bouncer. They say it's like twice the effort of one delivery. Payne just adjusting the field again. Man, it was in a leg slippers move to a backward square 25 metres from the bat. Fine legs, gone inside his line and gone a touch finer.
Oh, we stop one.
22.
Looks uneven carry through to the keeper, boys, doesn't it? It's a good day to get in that long. Yeah, the sun's come out now, Kerry. It was cloudy this morning. Coolish and southerly across the ground. A bit breezy. Thinks up at the end of the over.
Jesus.
Gee whiz, that's flying past his nose. Stark, a quick think about the field. Dangerous having to get out of the way. Payne's saying he heard something. Both sides not to review. Must have been very close to the gloves. Rips delivery, Mitchell Stark. Let's have a look before we go to drinks break.
Stop rock your glove, boy.
No, I don't think so. I think it might have just been. The bounce might have been too steep. But what a delivery from Mitchell Stark. Alright, this session 13.3 overs. India have added 29 for the loss of their skipper. Sahane, who run out for a brilliant 112. Time for a drink break.
World-class Test cricket coverage. Australia against touring India on your home of champions.
The sport of kings is on the home of champions. Watch thoroughbred horse racing from Great Britain and enjoy Jamaica's top quality horse racing from Caymanas Park all season long.
The NBA is only here. Last season's Rookie of the Year, John Morant, must continue his big boy game for the Grizzlies. Because the Nets have KD and Kyrie. And they are not playing around. It's the Grizzlies. Next, live Monday at 7:30 p.m., 8:30 ECT on your home of champions, Sportsmax.
Welcome back to the Boxing Day Test matches. Day 3 here. Slightly cooler conditions in Melbourne. Australia knowing that they needed to take early wickets today. They got the big scalp of Ajinkya Rahane run out, but Jadeja is still there on 57. 1 for 29 so far on 13 overs today. On the border, Shane Warren alongside me. Rahane got into his work nicely. They're driving slow very well. Jadeja continued to be a thorn in the side. Then missed happening.
Excellent fielding. Shane couldn't go to the ball and just caught short at the end of a fantastic innings, and no need for that run really. It was Jadeja trying to bring up his 50, and Shane counts. So it was a real bonus for the Aussies really. They desperately needed that.
The over before the drinks break. India leading by 111 runs. Starting covers with 2 apiece, and they've been operating today alongside Nathan Lyon. Rahane, what a stunning 100 it was. Final ball of the last over, Mitchell Stark bowling good gas. He decided not to review, give a knockout. Tim Payne looked pretty confident there, but after a bit of discussion, let's take a look at it again.
Pretty close to the gloves. Nothing really happened there. You couldn't keep that out of the thought. The crap delivery.
Been interesting tactics from the Australians this morning, I thought. They were very quick to go on the defensive. They started with one slip in a gully, then they went straight to short pitch bowling. Haven't seen anything of Hazelwood yet this morning. So I thought they would have been on that patience, relentless line and length and toil away with plenty of catches in there with a hard new ball. And so I've been very surprised by the way the Aussies have come out this morning.
Yeah, well, I'm with you 100% there. Both players are starting off, forget the scoreboard, what happened yesterday, they're both zeros. Got a ball that's 12 overs old.
Still a bit of nip in the pitch, good carry through, an excellent pitch so far. Yes, I'm very surprised at the tactics. Starting getting to day 3 is probably the best day for batting on day 3 for pitch, so India was still 4 wickets left with no Ashwin in batting. He's made test match hundreds. Jadeja's looking pretty good for his 57. So another good partnership between these two, and India in a real position of strength.
On there as well, actually held it together. That was just flattened out. Ashwin in the last 3 years has just averaged 17. Improve upon for him. It's going to be just a case of hanging out there with Jadeja. Simple. Six for 306. Tim Payne this morning spoke about being okay with India having a lead of 150 and backing his batters to go big if they get past 300. But there will be pressure on them, especially in this series where no player has scored a century until Rahane.
Well, it's brave talk and talk you'd expect from your skipper that, okay, we concede a lead, but we're good enough to do something about it. Battle ourselves, and there's still plenty of time. That's the beauty of the game today. There's still plenty of time for Australia to win the game. But they're going to bat a lot better than they've shown so far.
Cool.
And again, the same area. It's very uncomfortable for Jadeja.
Yeah, a couple of good short ones. Australia have gone to this short theory, just banging it into Jadeja.
It's hard to bat against, I reckon. It'd be hard to bat just with the way the field's set. You're a set batsman, but it's just difficult to look where you will score your runs without taking a bit of a risk.
And you're only allowed 2 bounces and over, so Stark's done pretty well to keep them in the right area, so he's still got one up his sleeve.
Side's kind of going for it. There is a man out there, but this is a wonderful contest in the middle.
If they hit the edge or anywhere near the bat, that was going a long way.
Shorter boundaries straight here at the MCG. Well directed. Why is it so hard to face with that angle and left armour coming around from the left-hander, David?
Well, it's more the field that's set. If there's 3 slips, 2 gullies and only 1 fine leg, you might feel as though you can play the full shot and feel comfortable doing it. But the field set with 2 men out and the boat behind square or that pad, so you still get vulnerable if you're just playing.
Still terrific character, pace and pitch.
You saw New Zealand do it very effectively to Stephen Smith last year,
And the Matty Wade.
Yeah, and it's just a different thing because the field setting. So it's not body line, like traditional body line that we read about as kids, but just as a batsman, you look around the field and say, well, I've got to take a bit of a risk here to score off this.
Oh!
That's a ripping delivery. Good carry, as you said. It's just quick enough. To me, the surface is playing a lot better than in the bowler's defence, I suppose. That it's a pretty good batting surface at the moment. But still, I'm surprised the Australians have to search for wickets just a tad more.
Well, the other option is Australia, they're trying different things to get wickets. You're allowed, by this bowling like this, there's only one way of getting a batsman out. You can actually bowl at the stumps and have all the dismissals available, catching wickets and other ways to do it.
Jesus! Yeah!
Continuing with the plan, looking to be aggressive. Looking to take him on.
And as I said, it's very hard to score. But Jadeja wanted a piece of Mitchell's start. He had to just survive, then Australia might have to go with a different theory. But with Jadeja trying to play those shots, keeping in the game the bowls, and that's why Australia's stuck in this tactic. And he actually hit it pretty good. But he just picked out Pat Cummins in the deep. And a good catch. Oh, a bit of juggle there. Stark was happy he got his man.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted. We got played for Vidra Jadeja out for 57, 7 for 306. Gomeshiada, into 31. Doesn't hang around too long, especially if he's up against the likes of Stark.
Well, this is where Stark is, you know, he's a very good bowler, we know that, but he is exceptional at knocking over the tail. You know, you need those bowlers on your side. If one of your big quicks can knock over the tail, because they can hang around, all these tail-enders can bat a little bit. But Stark bowled a couple of overs this morning. He's bowled 2.5 in this spell, so he's still relatively fresh. He's probably still got another couple of overs. So he's only bowled, what, this is basically his fifth over today, so he's still fresh. He could really clean the tail up here. He could knock them all over.
Aye.
Safely. I reckon more. Off the glove. Well, it's nasty in any case. Not too much in his half. I don't think so, Meshiana. Yep.
It's a glove.
Yep.
Calling glove.
Yeah, no. Well, he's got a couple of men around the corner there, Tim Payne.
The over 7 for 306. That's why that wicket of Rahane was so very crucial. Just cracking the door open to allow Mitchell Stark to have a ball at the tail. Talk us through this catch, AB.
Well, he dropped it. Lucky for Pat, it just rested on his stomach as he rolled over. He was able to gather the drop chance, so he was very lucky in the end. He's normally got pretty good hands, Paddy Cummins, with a little bit of luck there.
Oh my lord.
Good battle between Stark and Jadeja leading up to that dismissal.
With Nathan Lyon's tactics here to Asher, I don't mind you around the wicket, but just don't stay there too long. Get back over a bit, just mix it up a little bit to Ashman. Just don't let him get set and exactly know what's coming. So he looks pretty comfortable at the moment, Ashman. Lyon might be able to turn and bounce one and get a glove or something, but he's looking pretty comfortable, Ashman. So if he just changes the angle and goes back over the wicket, it might have a bit more luck.
Go away, drop. Oh.
Came quickly, but another one down for Australia. Just opening himself up a bit more here, Ashwin, looking to be more positive for Jadeja heading back to the dressing room.
That's very catchable, I'm afraid.
That looked like the straight one there from line after the one before it turned. That looked like the one goes straight across Ashford. Come up on his heels a bit, just didn't stay down. See him come up. Wasn't balanced either, he's nearly jumped in the air. He went to catch that.
It's a tough position to field, really. I suppose you don't often find yourself in that sort of area, but still very catchable, and be disappointed that he missed that.
What?
Ashford was desperate to get a single there. He didn't want to expose Yano to Mitchell Stark at 7 for 307.
That's right.
Watch his footwork here, Marnus Labuschagne. You watch it just as he goes there, he starts to jump, he comes up, he's jumping in the air, so he's losing all his balance. And he's on his heels, that's why he falls back like that, so all his weight is going back. Never easy when the batsman's having that sort of swing in that position. But you just watch him lose all sorts of balance here. Jumping in the air, all the weight's on his heels, not on his forward, he just falls backwards, comes up too quickly. And he'd be disappointed with that. He did a brilliant bit of fielding to knock over and run out the skipper. But he'd be disappointed with that one.
So, this will be interesting. Ashwin, how's he going to play Stark here?
He likes the hook,
Yep.
so he doesn't mind taking it on either.
Where?
Setting himself up immediately. Opening himself up, Ashwin. Yeah.
Was calling for some assistance. He's probably winded himself.
What's up, crew? What's up, crew? What's that you claim? Look at all game.
See, get in position. York's coming.
What's up, crew? What's up, crew? What's that you claim?
Just up to the grill.
Do that crib walk right quick. That ain't no crib walk. Do the crib walk right quick. Do the crib walk, man. Do the crib. Boy, that's up. Boy, that's up. Be one word we got one, big man. Right, big man. Everyone can get it.
I'm in your
What's up, crew?
I've got no signs to back up. I've just
What's up, crib? What's that you claim?
He's got all the signs.
Do that crib walk right quick. That ain't no crib walk.
Your experience, AD.
No, he's right.
Yeah, that's good. Good signs. He's okay. There's plenty more of that coming, I reckon, from Mitchell Stark. 43 Ks, very quick.
What's up, crew? What's up, crew? What's that you claim? Do that crib walk right quick. That ain't no crib walk.
Throwing in the
You go to Yorkie, you want to give him another one, eh? You go for Yorker now?
I think he's looking for the short one. So maybe the bat look.
You know, we talked about the different tactics and then Stark got that wicket. Playing shots at it, looking to score that short one during the game, so you can stick with these tactics. It's when they just get out the way, that's when you've got to try something else like bowl at the stumps.
Gets hold of this one. Just to get a little bit as well.
Fair enough, there's no pressure from the outside. So there's nice high lock back into the keeper.
I ride with
There
you.
Yeah, there were a couple of moments that I wasn't too happy with the first coming in. Mitch Redden to face Mitchell Stark.
What is it?
So it's a good rhythm, that's for sure. So he's really sort of up the gas work, doesn't he? Really charging in.
Well, most teams now, all the bowlers bat a little bit, don't they? They all hang in there, so you know, the old short tactics go after the bowlers with the short balls. They want to hang around, that's what he has to put up with. I don't mind that as a tactic. I think it's okay, but as long as the batsman's trying to play the shots. If they're trying to play shots off it, then you're in the game. If they don't, then go back to just normal bowling. Play, well played.
Off the mark, Mitch Redden.
Tell you what it also does, if Nathan Lyon's bowling the other end, I reckon some of these tail ends like that might have a bit of a dash at Nathan Lyon.
Definitely.
The big Mo, not easy to face with Nathan Lyon. 145 punch bowls.
Be careful there not to try to do something as well as he pushes you back.
Got the Yorker here now, eh? Or you got another short one?
I'm looking at Yorker, definitely. Because they're just looking for the short one, so the back lifts up there, you know, ready for the full shot. Good batting. What I've noticed with Mitchell Stark in this innings, he hasn't bowled a delivery around the wicket to the right-handers. And normally he's so good at that. And just with that angle of grace, and if he gets the ball straight, I just thought he was to go throughout the innings, particularly with Rahane.
Well, we shan't, isn't it?
Not one delivery around the wicket, which he's so good at. We said in one day cricket, he does a good job. He's still involved a delivery. Mozzies are bad. Mozzies are bad. Don't shake Lane. 7 for 310. About now, I just started to drop. Normally you don't show any pain until the ball is not just lifted up. And then he's not looking at all.
You never show pain.
Not initially. Try not to, give the ball a gas.
Nisha. Another border, Queensland versus Victoria, he had a broken arm. They still wouldn't show any pain. He seriously had a broken arm.
What's that you play?
So they had to just drag him off the field. He was off. Broken arm. People might think that, oh yeah, sure the old day, yeah, I'm sure that. Hey, but can you confirm you had a broken arm? Was it crack? Was it broken? Yes.
So you had a fracture?
Just a little broken arm, yeah, just a little broken. The main problem was I couldn't grip. It was hard to, just you lose all.
You had one arm.
You had one arm.
No, it was sore for days.
Is it a bluff?
Took away. And swept the ball.
As we thought, he's going to play some shots against this town. Yeah, that's going to try that big slog sweep. Be careful with that angle from around the wicket. When the tail end is trying to slog sweep, I think Nathan might be better over the wicket.
He's listening.
He's just changed now. Stay there. Gary. I reckon Nathan might just nick him off here. Catch this thing.
Where?
That's a hack.
You know who you don't want to be. Oh. That's why you got to put David Byrne, those sort of blokes in there. No sense, no deal.
He was the best, I reckon, out of everyone I saw. Were you, eh?
Oh yeah, he was right up there for sure.
And the over 7 for 360. Mike Hussey.
He'll pretend he wants to here, I reckon, but won't take it. There you go. Just like that. He didn't really charge for it. Trying to get in a second run, you just jogged up there, yes, but have a look at this pretend, look at this jog, it's an easy one, I know there could be two, I'll pretend I can get back. What are you doing while we are running?
He's speaking from experience, do you actually want to get back?
No, not really. Place this stuff, thanks. Back to that 05 Ashes with Flintoff and Harness and Jones with the ball. Absolute thunderbolts. Wasn't fun. lead, that's significant, isn't it? Yeah. If they can get another 10 or 15 for these partnership for the next 3 wickets, get another 30, 40 runs, get that lead over 150. I wonder what the wind is. I wonder what wind is. We haven't seen wind is for a while, haven't we?
79% this morning.
Yeah. Pretend the two again. And I reckon Australia, even though Tim Payne says, we believe we can get 350, 200's not a big chase last, is it?
Not on the way the pitch generally plays out. You'd reckon there might be a few more trips on day 5. Obviously at OJ, 75% India. That's probably fair.
What was it this morning?
79, yeah.
How's that work? Well, we've got better, have we? Because we've got a few wickets.
Draw's gone up to 5%.
It's tough stuff out there for Umesh Yadav.
Now Ashwin's coming down to have a chat. The chat would be something like, mate, come on, hang in there. You're doing good. 2 balls to go on the over. In other words, I don't want to get down there, so don't get a single.
And also watch where your back foot's going. It's getting close to those stumps.
I reckon a Yorker now would be a good ball to bowl.
Maybe save it for the last ball.
Ashton, another one, walked out. Look at this. Look, Ashton's walking out. Going, well done, great stuff. Only one to go now. Look, a bit of a fist pump.
Going good, mate. Yeah. You take Starkey, I'll take that. Fine. Which end do you want to take?
Oh, if he gets a single on this ball, he's going to swing so hard at Nathan. Not Nathan.
Just has a line inside edge. Tries to have a go for it though. Menacing stuff here from Mitchell Stark. 7 foot 318, the lead of 123 for India. Change of voices up here. Mike Hussey, Brett Lee, and Adam Gilchrist.
Thank you, Isha.
Troublesome couple of days for Mitchell Stark. He's ended up with 3 wickets. He made it work very hard for them. Should be niggles, I suspect. Knee issue, maybe hamstring, but he's putting in a good effort here now. Live. Really wants to take the attack to line. He's interested. Off the crease earlier. go. That's a positive stroke. You get back for a second. It's embracing the local Australian wildlife there. It's kangaroo hop, isn't it? Variation that time. So, Carson Bigger, good afternoon. Interesting stuff. Yeah, good afternoon, gentlemen, and all of you. You'd expect to see that when you're facing maybe one of the quicks, but not Nathan Lyon for me. Catch it! Interesting 25 minutes or so leading into lunch. Australia desperately keen to have this tail cleaned up before that luncheon break. Do not want to come out after. Start again. Vision for 2. They'll take it. Yeah, that lead of 126, it is significant, particularly on a pitch like this. However, I feel as though this pitch has played well today. It's probably the best day for batting, so that'll give the Australians some hope. But if India can just get that lead up to 150, 170, then that would be huge in the context of the match. The over 7 for 321. Pitch looks like it is playing quite well. A bit of turn and bounce. There, a nice collective grass on top of a very firm base. So the ball certainly coming on. No sign of slowing up and holding up just yet. Can I ask you, Brett, your experience of playing here at the MCG? It's a much cooler day today. Will that affect how much movement the bowlers might get today?
I think it's more to do with the wicket. I think the hotter the sun is in terms of if it's full sun without being overcast, it's going to bake the wicket, which will make the wicket break up as the game goes on. Harder to bowl when it's hotter as well, because it takes a lot more energy out of the body and you lose a lot more fluid. I don't think it makes the ball any real different. Overcast conditions, sure, there's a little bit of wind there, and the overcast conditions will generally make the ball talk a bit more. But Australia need a strike. If Australia can get India out with that lead under 150, psychologically, I think it's better. I think they can go into the shed, the lead of, say, 140, and go, okay, it's game on here. We bat well, we can defend. It's going to be a barrage of bumpers, I think, the same today.
Well, first time for the day for Josh Hazlewood. Held back by his captain. Stark finishes his spell. Breakthrough of Jadeja. Now the big fella from Vandermeer. Members end. And Brett, we also saw that spell from Mitchell Stark, the short pitch barrage to Jadeja, picked up his wicket. Just interested to know how much energy that would have taken for Mitchell Stark just to come in and bowl. How many overs was in that spell? It must have been 4 or 5 overs of just sustained bounces. Does that take a lot more energy than the bowling doing a line of mixed up?
Oh, definitely. So if you count each sort of ball that you bowl 20 overs by 6 balls. If you're bowling some short stuff, so if you're bowling 4 bounces per over, I know that you can't bowl 4 over the batsman's shoulders or over the batsman's head, but it's like, I count it about 1.5 times the energy you have to go, so it's the effort ball. It's a lot of strain in the body. You got to pull down hard. You see the energy coming here and the power through the body. He's going flat out there, straight stick. Really good spell from Mitchell Stark.
Great command in the end. Yeah, interesting technique from Pat Cummins. Big hot be interested in your thoughts on, once they got that breakthrough, just wondered whether Stark could have stayed around the wicket to the right-handers. Still, if they wanted to go short and rough them up, use that Yorker that he has so often to such great effect. I just felt like he didn't challenge the stumps at all in that spell. And he's renowned for being the or one of the best Yorker bowlers.
Yeah, and look, I do agree with that. I think that what he could have done a little bit differently was to still bowl that intimidatory short stuff, which is very important. But you want to bowl the short ball either to get the batsman out, to intimidate the batsman, or then to try to set the batsman up to bowl that perfect Yorker. And as you mentioned, Gilly, and I agree, he is one of the best Yorker bowlers going around the world currently. You've got to be able to bring all forms of dismissals into play. So if you're bowling 90% of the deliveries that go over the stumps, it's only the corn generally that get the batsman out and maybe throw the stumps or hit wicket. So I still think knee roll, Yorkers, those LBWs come into play too. He's been brilliant though, Mitchell Stark. He could have had 5 easily.
I didn't mind the tactic for a plan B. Let's just give it a go for half an hour. Bowl some bounces, ruffle the batsman up, and he'd come round the wicket, and it worked.
And you were on, Gilly, with myself and Warner this morning. We were calling for that right before 1. So if they would have done that an hour and a half ago, that would have been, or an hour ago, that would have been obviously a better option for Australia.
Yeah, or whether it was just more aggression in tactics was probably the call, whether it was the short ball or line and length, 2 slips and a gully. It was a bit of an in-between field, wasn't it, in approach. She moves to 17 off 37 deliveries, just nagging the Australians. This is nice resistance from the Indian tail. 7-3-23. It's a good point that you make, Gilly, because keeping the Australian bowlers out there for longer will definitely take its toll in the second innings. So the Australians, first of all, they're going to have to bat well and try and get a lead. And then these bowlers are going to have to come out and try and somehow bowl India out for a pretty low total, you think. But the longer they're out there, it takes a toll on the body, makes it harder to back up and go again. So it's important time on feet, I guess, for the bowlers. A little bit more racked up in the crowd today. Coolish conditions. Nice when the sun comes out. Beautiful, in fact. Zinc cream on the nose. Still commemorating the late legend B. Dean Jones. Box cricket pictures going all around the world for our overseas viewers. Those hats work, believe it or not. Keep the flies away. The trouble is, though, if it's too late at night and start yawning, the fly can end up in your mouth. So you've got to be careful.
As long as they're not wine corks either.
They really work, do they? Never worn one.
To see you in the Yates lap, that's with a hat on.
Guests around in the Yates flat, isn't it?
That's right.
Pick up there from companies might have made it interesting at the bowler's end. So what's this ball again? Really drifted away. He just tailed away from that and he had to really reach with his hands. Slow ball. Garners interest from everyone back length and line. Like that. Slip the keeper, your back pad. good bowling. Stout defence from Luna Shadow, but deceived by the flight. Could have found some turn. Very handy wicket for Australia. Lovely bowling. Nathan Lyon. The overspin on the ball. A little bit of drift away again. Shadow had to reach out and put his hand in the Steve Smith. Well, he's not going to drop that too often. Comfortably taken. Good reward for some good bowling for Nathan Lyon. Machado is on his way for 9. India now 8 for 325. That just looks dangerous, that line and length, and Hush, you mentioned even from around the wicket to Ashwin, you got that big bit of drift. To the right-hander, well, that's encouraging, I guess, for Ashwin too. He'll be watching this with interest, knowing that at some stage today he'll be out there with ball in hand. See how he pushed his hands now in front of the body, in front of the pad. Just a little bit of drift away. Not a lot of turn for Nathan Lyon. He's got safe hands generally. Steve Smith, yeah. They've dropped a few, the Australians, in around 6 catches in this innings, but Steve Smith safely secures a wicket for Nathan Lyon. Jasprit Bumrah comes to the crease, did a terrific job as night watchman. Played on day 2 in Adelaide, but was part of the carnage on day 3. Caught and bowled by Cummins. He's at the non-strikers end. Ashwin on strike, still a deep fine leg, a deep backward square. One slip. Interesting to see how Ashwin goes about it now, whether he tries to hit a few boundaries. Bumrah's certainly no mug with the bat. His record would suggest he is, but he scored a good 50 against Australia A recently. But I'm feeling Ashwin needs to take the initiative here and just try and frustrate the Australians, but bump his lead up as quickly as he possibly can.
I think he will, Huss. I think he's waiting for anything up in his wheelhouse, anything up in his area. He'll look to go downtown, I think.
Different angle from Nathan Lyon. Around the wicket to Ashwin, but to Umesh Yadav over the wicket towards the false stroke. That's a lovely shot of it there, it really is. See the overspin that Nathan Lyon put on the ball was a touch adrift away, and Umesh Yadav, he'll be disappointed. Quite often the tailenders get out defending. They get back in the dressing room and they say, why wasn't I blocked out? I should have just had a slog and I might have hit a couple out of the park.
A very good job though, partnership with Ashwin. Partnership with 19 runs. Just, as we've discussed, the time, the energy he's taken out of the Australians. Don't they often say there's more room in the air? Great length from Hazelwood. Ashwin, we thought he was going to go, try not to advance and get that total up over 150 in terms of the lead, but he's bowled well, Hazelwood. His first innings, up until that ball was wicketless, and he's got the rewards for the hard work he's done. Nice catch too from Nathan Lyon.
Ashwin goes 14. 42 deliveries again, made the Australians work hard. India 9 for 325. He was trying to do the right thing though, I think. That ball over the offside and pick up some handy runs to build that lead up towards 150. Fortunately for him, he picked out Nathan Lyon in a deepish gully. The Aussies are nearly there. They've nearly bowled India out.
So a really good chance here for Josh Hazlewood. Mohammad Siraj. It's his first class record. Debut here. Ken Hazlewood rip his pegs out first ball. Young man on debut, Mohammad Siraj. Comes out the middle of the cauldron into the MCG. Handy delivery to any batsman at all, let alone a number 11 on debut. It's amazing how the game works, isn't it? Hazlewood's just picked up his first wicket of the innings. This is a lovely delivery. You think back to Adelaide where they just nicked everything off him. He got 5 for 8. It's taken now 114 overs this innings to even pick up his first wicket. I know as a batsman you can score 100 in one innings and then literally the next one you're gone for a duck. It's just a cruel game sometimes. Just get it straight at the pegs. No. Yeah. Quite. Well, that's a bonus because he's got away with the short stuff, so he's shown Siraj that he's not going to just pitch the ball up. Send him back. This has got to be the killer ball now. Go for the glory.
Yorker, length finger, or just sort of hitting top of off?
I think knee roll. Typical Taylor's dismissal. They're pretty good at keeping the Yorkers out, but knee roll. LBW are bold.
Oh, the hearts are racing out in the middle of the MCG. Success for Hazlewood. India 9 for 326. India started the day 5 wickets down, 277. They had an 82-run lead. This partnership, an outstanding partnership, broken finally for the Australians. Very tight and taken run, too tight in fact. Jadeja, this vigil ended on 57, taking on a short ball from Mitchell Stark. Slide up with his left arm up. Nice bit of bowling from Nathan Lyon. Bit of shadow. And he combines with Hazlewood to get rid of Ashwin. 9 for 326. Lead of 131 runs in the first innings. Catches the man settling out the deep. Travis Head secures it. It's right yesterday that he should have taken, but on this occasion, it was Nathan Lyon. Third wicket. India are all out. 326, a lead of 131.
Yeah, well bowled from Nathan Lyon. Tossed it up. 2 wickets in a row for him.
He'd be on a hat-trick in the second inning. Probably. And Buller was never going to hang around. He wanted to try and hit a couple out of the MCG. Travis Head settled nicely. Yeah, that's a good catch. Taken comfortably. It all ended pretty quickly for India. Buller went for a dart and all out for 326 in their first innings. Relief for the Australians. Much expect will be taken. So they can go and just cool their heels now. The Australian bowlers and Nathan Lyon ends up with 3 for 72. He chats with us now. Lino, well done. Bit of relief. Just go and enjoy some lunch now.
Yeah. Obviously frustrating yesterday, but I thought the boys come out here and backed up our plans well this morning, and to take 5 wickets in the session and now give our batters the best chance of that in the best conditions, it looks like.
Yeah, those plans, the discussions overnight and then the planning this morning, it looked like a sort of a conservative approach just to build some pressure and then hopefully open the floodgates.
Yeah, 100%. You know, Gilly, you build pressure and test match cricket, you'll create a chance. So I think our bowling attack done that very well. I think obviously frustrating day yesterday when we missed our chances and stuff, but we knew if we come out today and build pressure, then we'll hopefully open the door. So we've done that. Now we've got about luck.
And the pitch, how's it holding up?
No, looks pretty good. The shadows feels like the zip's gone out of it a little bit, so it should be interesting to see how our batters go and how they bowl as well. So it's a good challenge for us, but yeah, if we bat well, who knows?
Thanks, mate. You're on a hat-trick next time you bowl too.
See how we go.
All right. Got another rest, mate. Make the line 3 for 72. We're going Cooley's Jets now with his fellow bowlers. And then the other side of lunch, it'll be the Aussie batsman coming out to face the fire of the Indian bowling lineup. A nice little session for the Australians there, picking up their 5 wickets. 5-2-7-7 India were overnight. Already hit past that first innings total for the Australians. The match summary: Rahane brilliant, Jadeja equally important, and a mixture of wickets there for the Australians. India bowled out for 326. They lead by 131 runs.
For a chance to win amazing prizes and the grand prize of a trip to Spain. Terms and conditions apply. Check the Sportsmax social media platforms for information on how to participate.
The Sport of Kings is on the home of champions. Watch thoroughbred horse racing from Great Britain.
I have one of the early mugs. It has the OxyContin logo on one side, and on the other side it says, the one to start with, the one to stay with. I find that really clarifying. They wanted you on that drug. They made more money when you were on that drug. And of course they knew, most people, once they were on that drug for any amount of time, were going to have to stay on that drug. It was a great business model.
It was a very practical, data-driven marketing decision to go in and hit those places. Now, coming across the hill, if you keep those two things consistent, you'll be able to control your speed no matter where you are. Ways to hide a drug epidemic in.
There were huge amounts of OxyContin being shipped out of Purdue's warehouse to pharmacies in Huntington, West Virginia, or in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, or in Kentucky or Tennessee, and different places that they sent it to. There were towns in West Virginia where they had more medication than the number of residents in the whole town could have taken. If every single man, woman, and child was on OxyContin, they couldn't have taken the amount that was going through a couple of pharmacies there. When you see huge amounts going to specific pharmacies, doesn't that raise a red flag?
By the fall of 2000, Van Zee and a few colleagues had seen enough crime, misery, and death in their small communities. They decided it was time to act.
I was very concerned that we were the only ones that knew about this. In my naivete, I said, we have to let Purdue Pharma know. And I thought, they're going to be just absolutely thankful that we contacted them and told them about the problems we're seeing, because I thought they didn't know.
Dear Dr. Adams, I am writing you as the director at Purdue Pharmaceuticals to give you further information on the growing abuse of OxyContin in a number of areas in the country. I'm sure
they just didn't move, they didn't respond, and because of that, we just knew
we were going nowhere with Purdue. We're on our own, and we have to do what we can to stop them.
Van Zee and his colleagues decided to call an emergency meeting at the local high school. More than 800 people showed up.
People wanted something done. They wanted a resolution to what they were seeing with their children, what they were seeing with their parents, what they were seeing with their neighbors, the crime, the addiction, the suffering that they were going through, the neglect of children.
At the meeting, a petition was circulated demanding that Purdue recall OxyContin until it could be made in a less abusable form. Within weeks, the petition had thousands of signatures.
That really got the attention. That's really when Purdue kind of woke up to what was happening. This community is not keeping quiet.
The company reached out to request a meeting. 3 high-level executives traveled from Purdue headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut, to meet with health officials at a local motel. The group from Pennington Gap included a businessman who had lost his son to an overdose.
We wanted to put a face on the suffering. So we thought if we brought this father, and this father was in desperate pain. I mean, it was awful to listen to him. And we thought maybe putting a face on it might, at least grab them a little bit.
But Purdue executives refused to recall Oxy, instead offering to cut a check to the community for $100,000.
I felt so helpless. I felt that all my skills were useless. And to have someone come to you and say, oh, it's not our problem, it's your problem, and we'll help you out by giving you $100,000, and we were supposed to be impressed by that. I kept thinking, how can they expect us to be that dumb? But they did.
Soon, stories about the addictive potential of oxycodone, the active ingredient in OxyContin, would spread from towns like Pennington Gap to the rest of the country.
May your holidays feel bright and all your dreams take flight. Visit your local Mercedes-Benz dealer today for exceptional lease and financing offers at the Mercedes-Benz Winter Event.
When pets were given the choice between paying more with cable TV or paying less for their favorite channels with Sling, the results? Well, there were no results. Because they're animals. They don't have a concept of money. You're not an animal. Make the smart choice and switch to Sling. Get the best of cable for the best price. Get started in 5 minutes at sling.com.
Parents, meet Go Henry, designed to teach kids money skills for life. It's the debit card connected to a smart app, loaded with budgeting tools and complete with parental control. 92% of parents said their children are more money confident since using Go Henry. You set them chores and allowances, they start earning. They spend, you get notified. They set goals and start building the savings habits. Plus, they get to customize their cards. Go Henry, tools to get your kids money confident and make your life easier along the way. Get started now.
When we started our business, we were paying like an arm and a leg for the postage. I remember setting up ShipStation. I think it was just like 1 or 2 clicks. Everything was up and running. I was printing out labels and saving money.
ShipStation saves us so much time. It makes it really easy and seamless. Pick an order, print everything you need, slap the label onto the box, and it's ready to go.
Our cost for shipping were cut in half, just like that.
ShipStation, the #1 choice of online sellers. Go to shipstation.com/try and get 2 months free.
It's time for the lowest prices of the season on the Sleep Number 360 smart bed. You can adjust your comfort on both sides, your Sleep Number setting.
Can it help me fall asleep faster?
Yes, by gently warming your feet.
But can it help keep me asleep?
Absolutely. It intelligently senses your movements and automatically adjusts to keep you both effortlessly comfortable.
Will it help me keep up with Mom?
You got this. So you can really promise better sleep. Not promise, prove. Don't miss our New Year's special. The Queen Sleep Number 360 C2 smart bed is only $8.99. Plus, no interest until January 2024 on all smart beds. Only for a limited time.
I'm Richard Louie with breaking news this hour. President Trump just signing Congress's stimulus bill, releasing $900 billion for COVID relief.
This averts a Monday night government shutdown. The decision comes less than 1 week after the president demanded changes to that bill, suggesting he would refuse to sign it into law if they were not met. Now, the president says upon signing that bill that he has added some red lines to it. We do not know exactly what those are. NBC working to confirm those items and how it might affect future support for the bill itself. But it is law as of this hour. Now, back to the forgotten epidemic.
By the early 2000s, Purdue knew about the addictive properties of OxyContin, but they and other companies in the opioid business had a few billion reasons to keep aggressively marketing their drugs.
We're talking about huge amounts of money. So every year that they can prevent regulations from cracking down on this market, that's a major victory for them.
The vast supply and illegal diversion of opioids made them increasingly available to millions of Americans suffering from the disease of addiction.
Once the people come hooked on these drugs, they need more and more. You build up a tolerance. You need ever-increasing doses to either offset the pain or to get high. Once it got big enough, what you then start to see is the black market becomes an important part of this whole economy of dealing in opioids.
Clinics and pharmacies turned themselves into pill mills, distributing oxys and other opioids as fast as they could get them.
In little more than a decade, more than 20 million prescription pills were sold here, an average of 6,500 per person.
In a town in Williamson, West Virginia, the police described to me how you would have minibus loads of people who would arrive, brought by one dealer, who would simply sign people up to come, get prescriptions, he would pay them, take their prescriptions, get the pills, sell them on the black market. And so everybody starts to benefit a bit from this, except those, of course, who are being dragged down by it.
It's the fastest growing drug in America.
The tide of opioid addiction spread out from Appalachia like a stain across the country.
The Centers for Disease Control has this map, and it flips through the years, beginning in the late 90s. There's a little red spot that rises in southern West Virginia. And as the years tick by, you see that spot spread through southern West Virginia, eastern Kentucky. It pops up in southern Ohio and up in parts of New England. And that red dot gets wider and darker. And then eventually dots spread up across the country.
The wildfire of opioid addiction had so far burned virtually unchecked, but all that was about to change. By February 2001, the opioid epidemic had spread from small rural towns to the streets of big eastern cities like Philadelphia, where 18-year-old Eddie Bish was a high school senior.
President's Day, February 19th, 2001. I was at work. I got a call from my daughter. Dad, Eddie's not breathing and he's turning blue. As I ran up the block, I noticed two guys were sitting in the ambulance. And they looked at me and I looked at them. And they said, "Sorry, sir." And I was like, "Please don't tell me he's dead." And they said, "Sorry, sir, nothing we could do." I was like, "What?"
Unbeknownst to his father, Eddie had begun experimenting with a little blue pill that was appearing at neighborhood parties.
My son's friends were gathering outside. I walked outside. I said, "Tell me, what did he do? Eddie's dead. What did he do?" "He did an Oxycontin." "What the hell's an Oxycontin?" I was reading these stories about how bad this drug was. I had no clue painkillers were related to heroin. They were almost the exact same as heroin. Ever since that day, that was my personal mission. I dedicated in the name of my son Eddie to warn as many people as I could.
The holidays are full of tradition. But it's time they got a technology update from Hyundai. And thanks to the savings you'll still find during the last days of Hyundai holidays, you'll discover a new Hyundai will make your new year very merry indeed. Hurry to the final days of Hyundai holidays.
Get 0% APR for 72 months on the Tucson, plus $1,000 bonus cash or no payments for up to 5 months. Offers end January 4th.
What's going on? Let me help. Here we go. It's up there.
Hey, Josh.
Wrinkles send the wrong message. Help prevent them before they start with Downy Wrinkle Guard.
Hey, bud.
So you won't get caught with wrinkles again.
Nicorette knows quitting smoking is freaking hard. You get advice like, try hypnosis. Or quit cold turkey. Instead, start small with Nicorette, which can lead to something big. Start stopping with Nicorette.
Wow! You gotta see the stats on that one! I get the handoff, and with 4 defenders that close, chance of punching it in for a TD, 14%! I can work with that. So I accelerate a lot. Defender distance, decimal. My only out, 0 gravity, 6 points. Best clip and play of the season. Next Gen Stats powered by Amazon Web Services. AWS is how.
This is Steve. He used to have gum problems. Now, he uses TheraBreath Healthy Gums Oral Rinse with clinically proven ingredients, and his gum problems have vanished. TheraBreath. It's a better mouthwash at Walmart, Target, and other fine stores.
Spend your precious hours doing what will bring out the brilliant, passionate you.
On Coursera, you can learn without limits. Explore top-quality online courses, professional certificates and degree programs from world-class universities and companies, and put the passionate you on the path to new opportunities.
Contribute something meaningful to this world.
Join Coursera for free to learn without limits and live with passion. Disney and Pixar Soul, streaming December 25th only on Disney+.
Just because a car looks like a good deal online doesn't always mean it is. That's why CarGurus looks deeper. Every detail goes into our ratings, and cars are rated from overpriced to great. And to be great on CarGurus, you really have to earn it. Only 3 of 10 cars have what it takes to be rated good deal or higher. So you'll no longer wonder if that car you like is a good deal, because it truly is. Go to CarGurus today and shop safely with CarGurus contactless services.
After losing his son to an OxyContin overdose, Philadelphia's Ed Bish devoted his life to stopping the spread of the drug. A professional IT specialist, Bish created a simple website called oxyabuseskills.com.
The website started 1 page, just 1 page, and it told Eddie's story. My 18-year-old son died 1901 after chewing a powerful painkiller drug called Oxycontin, and the site developed from there, and eventually that 1-page website had 40 or 50 pages.
The website became a kind of virtual memorial. Its pages filled with the stories of young people dead from oxy overdoses. These were some of the first casualties in an epidemic that was still mostly under the radar.
To my surprise, over half the emails I got were from people who were prescribed Oxycontin. People who took it as prescribed and became addicted. As I learned more and more stories came out, it was, plain and clear that the company was lying about this drug.
Bish wanted to turn his grief into action. He put out the word to the parents who visited his website to join him in an effort to rein in Purdue Pharma.
We got together and we came up with a name for our little group, RAC, Relatives Against Purdue Pharma. As I would get emails, and sometimes I get 5, 6, 7 a day, I would let them know, say, look, we're trying to do something.
and then started immediately reaching out to the White House, to the president himself, and we started the dialogue, working with my colleagues in the Republican side of the aisle in the House, with folks from all different walks of different spectrums of the ideology, and just said, look, we have to get this delivered, and what are the issues? And then the issues started to come into focus with the $1,400 in addition to the $600 to get to the $2,000 the president's shooting for, the concern over the Section 230 repeal. But at the end of the day, it was a tremendous amount of work. Josh and I were working on Christmas Day. We convened the Problem Solvers Caucus, 50 members strong, to get their thoughts, inputs, strategy, and tactics. And I'll just tell you, working together, we communicated where we stood, to the president. And we thank the president. I thank the president for signing the bill tonight at 7:48 p.m. And we are glad that we now have this relief flowing to the American people.
Starts to dig into what's going on. He essentially levers open the door to all of the internal information about Purdue Pharma, actually how they have marketed this drug, the lies that are being told, the misinformation about its safety, and above all, what the company knew and what it was telling its salespeople to say. This wasn't, as far as he was concerned, an accidental epidemic. It was something that they consciously pursued.
Ultimately, Brownlee indicted the company and 3 of its top executives on criminal charges.
The genesis of OxyContin was not the result of good science or laboratory experiment. OxyContin was the child of marketeers and bottom-line financial decision-making.
Purdue fought back, hiring one of the most famous lawyers in the country, former New York Mayor Rudolph Giuliani.
Rudolph Giuliani was there to show that Purdue Pharma had political pull. He was still a big name in Washington. And so the pressure starts to ratchet up.
Brownlee wanted to indict Purdue executives on felony criminal charges, but his department ordered him to settle for misdemeanor charges of misbranding and no jail time. Ed Bish and the other members of RAP felt betrayed. At the executives' sentencing hearing, they were invited by the judge to give a statement.
We pleaded that they get jail time. The judge was apologetic, saying that if it was up to him, they would have got jail time. But he had to go by the recommended plea agreement. Purdue Pharma must pay a $600 million fine, one of the biggest ever against a drug company. And company executives individually were fined $34 million.
In the end, Purdue pleaded guilty to felony misbranding for actions that occurred before 2001. But for Purdue, the $600 million fine was affordable when compared to billions in profits from the sale of OxyContin.
There are various watershed moments, I think, when you say that the opioid epidemic could have been, at the very least, reined in, if not prevented. And that was one moment. Because the way the case turned out, it discouraged others from going after Purdue Pharma. And it would take many more years before other federal agencies decided to look more closely at what the company was doing.
Reached for comment, Purdue says in part that it has accepted responsibility for specified misconduct before 2017 and has made changes including ending promotion of opioid products. It says it has eliminated its sales force and appointed new executives. The Sackler family members have resigned from the board. It would take until 2010 for Purdue Pharma to release a tamper-resistant version of the Oxy pill.
OxyContin's finally reformulated, so you can't just crush it and inject it or snort it anymore. And you see something else going on at the same time, which is the medical profession starts to get a bit more hesitant about prescribing. And the third element is that you see a big crackdown on the pill mills.
News of the arrests and prosecutions of suspected pill mill operators filled local newscasts.
More than 20 people arrested 2 weeks ago, accused of stockpiling OxyContin by getting prescriptions from different doctors.
Richard Paolino earned the nickname Dr. Oxy, one prescription at a time, according to...
The tighter controls on Oxy, however, did little to slow the spread of the opioid epidemic. In many ways, it was too late. those addicted to opioids were already looking for new ways to get high. Before long, drug cartels rushed in to meet the demand with an even cheaper drug, heroin.
Yeah, they're gonna see that you got straight home.
Wow. A new Buick for me?
To James, from James. That's just what I wanted.
Is this a new Buick? A secret Santa's myself?
Oh, sure.
Wow. Wow.
Don't forget you this holiday season. Get an SUV from Buick. Now everyone can use cash and GM employee pricing to get up to 20% below MSRP on all 2020 Buick SUVs. That's over $7,600 below MSRP on this Envision Essence.
Sentra Minis may be small, but they pack a punch. With over 20 essential vitamins and minerals, they're the most complete mini multivitamin, so you can focus on punching above your weight. No matter how high you set the bar, try Sentra Minis. It's time for the lowest prices of the season on the Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed.
Gonna help with snoring?
I've never heard snoring.
Exactly.
No problem. And done. And now, the Queen Sleep Number 360 C2 Smart Bed is only $8.99. Plus, no interest until January 2024. Only for a limited time.
Dental implants are going to give people that full aspect of their life back.
Have to be your choice. We've been doing this for many, many years, and I think we truly help patients change their lives here.
It's so meaningful to be a part of that impact.
Come in, talk to us. You're going to get an education on what implants are, what the solutions are, what can be done.
These folks, they don't have time to go to the post office. They have businesses to grow, customers to care for, lives to get home to. They use Stamps.com. Print discounted postage for any letter, any package, anytime, right from your computer. All the amazing services of the post office, only cheaper. Get our special TV offer, a 4-week trial plus postage and a digital scale. Go to Stamps.com/try and never go to the post office again.
West Virginia in 2008 was in many ways a microcosm of the opioid epidemic sweeping through Appalachia and beginning to leak out to the rest of the country. 30-year-old Mark Trent grew up in Ronceverte. He left to go to college to study photography. When he returned and saw what was happening to his community, he picked up his camera and started to shoot.
I started trying to document around 2008, 2009. I was an outsider at that point. I moved away, so it took me a little bit of time to kind of come back and be accepted again, especially for what I was asking. I was asking a lot.
When Trent began taking pictures, OxyContin was still the main problem in Ronceverte.
It's a mixture of Barbie's knee. One of our close friends had a knee injury playing soccer, and that turned into a prescription for painkillers. That prescription for painkillers turned into an addiction. And from that addiction, she turned her friends on all that. And it wasn't just her, it was everywhere.
In 2009, Mark reconnected with an old friend named Allie. Allie introduced him to her 17-year-old girlfriend, PK, and another friend named Barbie. These three women became Mark's main subjects over the next few years.
That was the first day I met PK. So young. PK at the time was just a young girl that had no experience with this stuff. Everyone was watchful over her at first too. Like no one wanted her to get involved, but it was just one of those things that got her.
For years, Allie tried to keep PK off opioids, but heroin proved too enticing.
She begged me not to do it, and I wouldn't listen. I went ahead and done it. I remember
It going up through my arm, and like my whole body just got really warm, and like my eyes got really heavy. And I remember just like looking up at her and smiling because I'd never felt that my entire life, and it was the most peaceful thing that I had ever felt in my life.
With Allie, PK, and Barbie as his guides, Mark began taking his camera everywhere.
This is one of the houses I always shot in. There's always like sort of hunt for drugs and hunt for something, seeing who had what, seeing who was getting high, seeing who was getting their scripts.
I knew it was inevitable that I was going to see my friends shoot up. I mean, I knew there was evidence of all the arms. I knew they were doing it, but I'd never seen it in person.
But they were cooking them on, and when you drew back on the syringe, it was just black. It was like injecting death. That was, I think, the second time I was ever shot. This is the first time I ever saw anyone shoot up in their neck. This was such a heartbreaking moment, too, because Allie was high, and she's talking about it. Everyone was turning against her. And her own family didn't even want her around. They treated her like she was trash and like there's something wrong with her.
Isn't that crazy, dude?
The center of Roncevert's drug scene was an old abandoned house since burned to the ground.
So this is the living room where everybody would like gather up right here, and we would always sit in here, and if you cut back through there, there's a bathroom and stuff back there. That's where everybody would go back there and do our drugs and stuff like that. And then it got to the point where nobody cared, like, where you done it at, and there would used to be like needles laying around everywhere, and everybody would be piled up in this house. I mean, like, elbow to elbow in here, everybody just hanging out and stuff, doing trades and deals. Like, we traded a vehicle one time for some stuff.
Once she got into heroin, PK became addicted quickly.
At times I remember being so messed up, like stumbling out of this door, like trying to hold myself up, and I would just like be like swaying and stuff, and everything was just like spinning around. But I thought I had it under control. I thought I could quit, and I thought that for a long time.
PK couldn't quit, nor could her girlfriend Allie or their close friend Barbie. Mark watched helplessly as the three women spiraled deeper and deeper into addiction.
3.5 years in, I started seeing the struggles of what being dope sick would look like, and shivering and being cold, and the people that I knew and loved changing completely and being irrational with each other, angry with each other. Like relationships just turning really, really sour because one person had gotten just a little more high than the other. It wasn't, let's go out and party and have fun and feel good anymore. It was a, let's survive, and what do we got to do to survive?
Mark's photographs became one of the first and most complete visual records of the opioid epidemic.
I never thought about not shooting this or making this work because I knew that it came to a point where they wanted me to.
In 2016, the inevitable happened. Allie and PK's friend Barbie succumbed to a fatal overdose of heroin.
I'd just gotten back to New York, and I'd gotten 2 calls from a West Virginia number. My heart sank, because I was like, one of the girls. So I called, and it was PK. She was crying. She's like, Barbie and her girlfriend are dead. They died. They overdosed. They're dead. I thought things would change at that point. I was like, wow, these girls are going to see.
Yeah, you think so, but that's the thing, like, it's
Barbie was pretty, in my mind, invincible. I've never seen anyone like that.
I mean, it kind of did hit reality, like, that we could go, but it was like we didn't care. We wanted to keep getting high, like, kind of numb the pain.
Allie survived, pulling herself through sheer force of will out of addiction. As part of her recovery, she decided not to talk to us on camera.
Allie found sobriety through a court-ordered program, and that came about when she got into a little bit of trouble, and finally just came clean and said, if you guys don't get me out of here, I'm going to die. And they pulled some strings, got her a bed, and she found sobriety that way. And that's what really turned things around for her.
This is the first time she saw her family after being clean for like a year.
PK PK was on and off heroin for years, shooting up so much that her arms were crisscrossed with needle marks. Finally, in 2018, she quit too.
It wasn't until I got pregnant with my son this past year that I didn't want to put him through what that I put my daughter through. Like, even though I didn't use while I was pregnant with her, she still had to grow up kind of not without me, but without me, like in a sense. And like, I didn't want to make him go through withdrawals. And so that's whenever I finally was just like, I have to be done with it this time.
PK and her boyfriend are now on a maintenance drug called Suboxone, prescribed to staunch the horrors of withdrawal. But they want to quit that too.
I want to be done with it so I can just be normal, but I don't think I'm ready. I'm stressed out about it.
Which I guess now is the last thing, you know, we've already, all the other stuff's done, so it's hard to quit the very last.
Yeah, but we still get them really hard cravings about wanting to do it, and we almost break. So, like, if she would cut me down, then what if them cravings are to overcome, like, you know, me not having that, you know what I mean? Then it's gonna jeopardize my whole sobriety.
In December 2018, Mark published some of his photos in the New York Times, bringing much-needed national attention to the opioid crisis.
I figured if I could reach one person and show them how horrible that life was, this one person could show like 20 other people, and I could save 20 other people, because everybody thinks it's fun and games, and then you lose so many people. My sister just died last month of it, you know what I mean? And I'm not trying to lose any more friends of it.
Though the story Mark chronicled brought hope, it was too late for many in Ronceburg and in countless other towns like it.
These communities are still underwater. It hasn't went away. As crazy as that sounds, like an overdose death is not shocking at all. And it's normal now. You can meet entire generations that have been wiped out by this. The damage is done. There's no undoing any of this.
Happy holiday. Wow, what a year. How about some cheer? Movies and just fun video. Mystery is fun. Knives up for one. But wait, there's more Jack Ryan galore. Boy, season 2 is ready to view on most any devices. And that night,
We're gonna have a hell of a time.
watching movies on TV shows. Streaming out for you on Prime Video. Wow, what a year. The year starts right here. Watch anytime, included with Prime.
Men everywhere are now cutting their hair at home. Are you? Introducing Microtouch Titanium Trim, the all-new at-home hair cutting tool and precision groomer. Just a trim or a full haircut. Now, cutting hair is as easy as combing hair.
It's the only way to cut your hair by yourself. I don't know how people can do it with clippers. It's impossible. But this is way easier.
I did this at home, but you can comb it, you can cut it. Simple.
Titanium Trim reinvents everything with a revolutionary design that positions the blades on the side just like a comb, making it easy to cut your own hair with confidence. Now, if you can comb it, you can cut it. Snap on a comb to dial in the perfect length for your style, long, medium, or short, and just comb and cut for pro-level results at home.
I just pop on that comb and I get a perfect trim every time. I literally can't make a mistake. I can give myself a professional at-home haircut how I like it.
Sometimes I just need a little bit off, and that's what's great about this product. You have these scars, and you just take a little bit off. Okay, I'm good.
Now, if you can comb it, you can cut it. Snap off the comb and edge sideburns and beards, or clear your neck and shoulders with zero irritation. And look, titanium trim extends a full 40 millimeters for those hard-to-reach areas. Nothing else comes close.
I thought it was really cool that it can extend. It really helps.
That extra little extension made it so easy. I would never use any other clippers. This is the one to use.
Micro-polished stainless steel blades bonded with titanium. Precision-engineered comb attachments. Built-in extension handle with a non-slip grip and LED spotlight. Just comb it and cut it with Microtouch Titanium Trim. Order online now at titaniumtrim.com or call 1-800-420-8777.
Nobody can get to the barber as much as they'd like anymore, but now you don't have to.
If you don't have it, you better get it.
The revolutionary, all-new Microtouch Titanium Trim.
Introducing the MSNBC Daily
featuring written perspectives by experts you know and trust for a better understanding of the stories that matter most. Check out the MSNBC Daily today at msnbc.com.
Epidemic hitting rural America hard. OxyContin, the heroin overdose deaths have doubled in just the last 2 years.
The public health crisis.
The opioid epidemic in the United States has come in 3 waves. The prescription painkiller phase crested around the same time as cheap heroin began to flood the market.
About 28,000 people die each year from heroin overdose.
The leading killer of people under 50 in the United States.
Heroin overdose deaths quintupled between 2010 and 2016 before that drug, too, reached saturation. But the deadliest period of the epidemic was still to come.
An opiate up to 50 times more powerful than heroin.
So powerful, you could die just touching it. Taking 18,000 lives in 2016. African Americans suffered the most dramatic injuries.
Fentanyl was first synthesized in a European lab in the 1950s as a powerful anesthetic.
It's a Schedule II medicine. It's used in all sorts of invasive surgeries. It's also been reformulated into patches to treat end-of-life pain or cancer pain. But today, what the problem is that it's being manufactured illicitly abroad and imported into the United States.
It is estimated 150,000 people in the last 8 years. Most fentanyl comes into the United States from China, where it can be purchased online.
We do think that the dealers are the ones who are driving the kind of transition towards fentanyl, in part because it just makes economic sense. The profit margins are much larger. You can conceal fentanyl very easily in a little bit of heroin. You can ship it very easily through the mail. It just makes economic sense. This is a challenge for law enforcement, since now this stuff is showing up in places where there was no kind of prior contacts or proximity to organized crime.
Fentanyl represented a frightening new front in the war on drugs. No longer would traffickers require sophisticated distribution networks, ties to Mexican cartels, or guns. Now they needed only an internet connection and a mailing address. They could operate from anywhere. Even a middle-class suburb in the heart of Mormon country in Utah.
In 2016, we heard that there were shipments of fentanyl making their way into Utah, and it instantly became a top priority for our office.
On November 8, 2016, postal inspectors seized a box en route from a port city in China. It was addressed to a man in Salt Lake named Sean Gigi.
We received intelligence from Customs and Border Protection that there was an inbound package of fentanyl headed to our area of responsibility. We began to investigate that package.
Our sense of urgency went off the charts, and it led to further intercepts of packages intended for delivery.
Investigators quickly determined that Gigi was a low-level courier, probably unaware of the contents of the packages he was handling.
And he went home that night, and he thought about things. He thought long and hard, and then the next morning, he called my agents back and said, "There's more to the story I need to tell you." Most nights of the week, I get in my car, and I go to a porch, and from that porch, I pick up 40, 50 packages, and then I take them to the blue post office collection boxes throughout the valley, and I mail those out every night.
Gigi agreed to cooperate with authorities. Instead of dropping his pickups in the mail, he delivered them to police. Inside a single day's packages were nearly 35,000 counterfeit OxyContin pills, each laced with a few grains of fentanyl. Gigi began to give up the names of others in a large fentanyl trafficking ring, at the head of which was a 26-year-old former Eagle Scout named Aaron Shamo. Shamo grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, but moved with his family to Salt Lake City in 1996. In high school, Shamo began smoking pot and skipping school. He dreamed of using the internet to become wealthy, like his idols, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. After college, he went to work at eBay with his friend David Crandall. But the tedious life of an entry-level employee was not for him. Shamo and Crandall concocted a plan to sell prescription drugs in the dark web, a part of the internet accessible only with a special browser. There, he set up a store modeled on Amazon, where he bought and sold drugs using untraceable digital currency. He called his company Pharma Master.
It quickly overwhelmed them, and they needed help. So they approached associates and friends from work or from their previous life, and they recruited them. Not out of the goodness of their heart, but with cash. To help them run this operation is almost like an internet startup.
Shamo acquired a pill press, with which he made fake OxyContin pills in his basement. To give them the same narcotic effect as real oxys, he laced them with inexpensive fentanyl he had shipped from China.
In most of our organized crime cases, we're dealing with models that we know and that have been around for a long time. Mexico-based drug trafficking organizations linked to cartels, for example. We more or less understand their way of doing business. But this was a new learning curve for us. This was our first experience with someone who was so prolific at selling drugs on the dark net.
It's almost surreal to read customer reviews from Shamo's operation. The glowing reviews by customers of how good the product is, how wonderful the customer service is, that they always send extra to what you ordered. It's a reasonable price, and boy, does it have quite a powerful hit. And this mushroomed on the dark net. By word of mouth or otherwise, tens of thousands of customers came to buy Shamo's products.
Obviously, they got extremely good at their craft in a short amount of time. You know, in 1 year's time period, Pharma Master had gotten to be the largest retailer of fentanyl, counterfeit oxycodone pills in the nation.
What up, man? Are you able to pick up tonight? Yeah, I'm looking last time, but I had to go to an emergency, but we got everything last time both out, so.
In November 2018, Sean Gigi agreed to wear a wire to capture his conversations with Aaron Shamo.
That one package? Yeah, Gaverton. Yeah. How many more are coming? 2 or 3. Okay.
The conversations revealed crucial details of Shamo's operations, including the involvement of 2 female associates, Alexandria Tom and Katie Buston.
Mr. Shamo was pressing and manufacturing the pills at his home in Cottonwood Heights, and then the pills that he pressed, he would take them to the lady's home, and they would organize the pills according to the darknet orders, and they would package them and get them ready for shipping. Then they would place those on their doorstep for Mr. Gigi, the courier, to come and pick up each night and deliver to different mail facilities throughout the valley.
Shamo's packages found their way to customers in all 50 states, including one to a 29-year-old man in Moab, Utah, named Devin Meldrum.
When Devin was a teenager, he began to have these things are called cluster headaches. It's kind of like a migraine on steroids. The way that people describe it is that it's just like sticking a hot knife in your eyeball and rolling around in your brain, basically.
When it got to be every day, he could almost time it. He knew it would be between 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And so he'd have his oxycodone to help him survive it. And that would carry him usually through the next day until the next one hit again. When you're in pain all the time, depression is a problem because you don't see any hope or any point. And we tried everything we could find just to try to find an alternative. But opioids, the only thing that deadened pain.
By the time he was in his mid-20s, Devin was taking 2 OxyContins a day.
He said his doctors just felt so bad that he couldn't do anything more than he was doing. And when Devin explained to him that he took the day and could I get more, Devin, I can't. Legally can't give you more.
Devin knew he was becoming addicted and struggled against it.
He actually would go on a week-long detox, which was a nightmare for him. to get out of his system because he didn't want to be addicted to it. But ultimately, he goes right back on them because it's the only thing he could find that would help. He was stuck. He was very much trapped.
Devin took to hoarding pills. His biggest fear was that he'd be caught without his oxys.
There was a period where he did ask myself and some family members if they had any leftover pain meds that they weren't going to need, just so he'd have a backup to get him through those days.
We basically had to tell him, he said, son, listen, you can't go asking people for prescription meds. And I'll never forget, he said, what am I supposed to do?
Devin found a way to make sure he always had enough oxys. He ordered a small number of backups through the internet from a company called Pharma Master.
The day that Devin passed away, he was supposed to meet me to get his suit fitted for his brother's wedding that was coming up. And he had a headache and didn't feel good, so he was just going to come home and rest. And so that night, I told him good night and went to bed. And a couple hours later, I was sound asleep, and Kate came and knocked on the door and woke us up and told us that Devin wasn't breathing. And so we went downstairs, and he was on the floor. And I called 911, and Rod started doing CPR, and the rest is just kind of a blur.
Research shows people remember commercials with nostalgia. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance, here's one that'll really take you back.
Wow! What'd you get, Ryan? It's customized home insurance from Liberty Mutual.
What does it do, Bud?
It customizes our home insurance so we only pay for what we need. And what did you get, Mike? I got a bike.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Don't worry, Julie. Coughing's not new. This woman coughs. And that guy does too. People cough in the country, at sea, and downtown. But don't worry, Julie. Robitussin shots.
The only thing a disaster can't destroy is hope. Donate now at redcross.org.
Funny road closures you're going to want to know about if you're planning to hit the slopes today. We're just getting worse on the highway. Parking lot, there's no movement at all down there.
The season of adventure sales event is happening now. Land Rover, above and beyond.
For skin that never holds you back, don't settle for silver. #1 for diabetic dry skin. #1 for psoriasis symptom relief. And #1 for eczema symptom relief. Gold Bond. Champion your skin.
Let's see what you got for cuteness.
Product not yet ready. These folks, they don't discounted postage for any letter, any package, anytime, right from your computer. All the amazing services of the post office, only cheaper. Get our special TV offer, a 4-week trial plus postage and a digital scale. Go to stamps.com/try and never go to the post office again.
It's time for the lowest prices of the season on the Sleep Number 360 smart bed. Can I help with snoring?
I've never heard snoring.
Exactly. No problem. And done. And now, the Queen Sleep Number 360 C2 smart bed is only $8.99. Plus, no interest until January 2024. Only for a limited time.
Cover it up. That's what I did when I started losing my hair. Then I realized I could actually do something. Now I use Keeps. It's the easiest way to keep my hair. And it only costs $1 a day. Which means no more covering up. Get started at Keeps.com.
By early 2016, the Drug Enforcement Administration and local authorities were ready to move on Aaron Shamo's operation, which was producing millions of fake pills laced with deadly fentanyl.
The date is November 22nd, 2016. The time is 9:23 a.m. This is initial walkthrough.
at the house of Miss Tong and Miss Buston, and they found a room dedicated to packing pills into boxes and then shipping them out. They found postage, Priority Mail envelopes, Mylar bags, lists and lists of customers and what they had ordered. In one tote alone, they found 74,000 of the fentanyl pills. Pills everywhere. And these women were having to work so quickly to keep up with the orders that when pills would spill on the ground, they would just vacuum them up. There were several $1,000s worth of pills just inside the vacuum.
I was surprised it was taking place less than a mile from my own home. We live in a quiet, middle-class neighborhood where nothing particularly exciting goes on. It's clean. It's like Americana.
Police next turned to Aaron Shannon. Specially trained agents in hazmat suits descended on his nearby home.
It's a crazy scene. And then to see what the agents pull out of this nondescript home that could have been in any neighborhood in the United States. Bags of cash. Have I ever seen $1 million of cash in person? No. But $1 million in cash was hoisted out of Shamo's home in garbage bags. $1.2 million.
As we go in the door, is the pill press they were using to create the counterfeit Xanax tablets. Mr. Shamo was primarily running that pill press. The second pill press was dedicated to producing the fentanyl-laced fake oxycodone tablets.
You could see where powder had been wiped off the wall, and there was just powder everywhere. It was quite a scary scene for everybody, knowing the dangers of fentanyl.
DEA agents have taken down what could be the biggest pill bust in Utah's history.
Among the bags full of cash, agents found countless pills laced with fentanyl, several 100,000 counterfeit pills, and a pill press capable of making up to 7,000 pills per hour.
Perhaps the most alarming thing about Shamo's operation was just how quickly and easily he had put it together.
At 26 years of age, almost overnight, he's able to spawn this incredible empire. And it's not like he had an elaborate network. It's small, and it's off the internet. And it's this young kid. That's a very different profile than what we had seen emerging and evolving, and what we still see, frankly, in other types of drug cases.
Most of these individuals had good parents, good families, good upbringings, and what happened was greed. There were over 8,300 orders placed on PharmaMaster. We were able to look at those customers on the customer order list and figure out where all of these drugs were going to. These orders touched every part of the United States, every major metropolitan area, every small city.
We received a call from the DEA's office. And the DEA's office said, we understand your son passed away, and we'd like to see if we could get your son's computer. Because when we got Aaron Shamo and got his computer, your son's name came up on the list of people who had purchased from him. And sure enough, it was the order that he had made. I think it was for 2 pills, if I remember right, from Aaron Shamo. There were supposed to be 2 oxycodone pills. What they were is fentanyl-laced pills.
The trial of a former Eagle Scout accused of...
Aaron Shamo went on trial in Salt Lake for 13 counts, including criminal conspiracy and murder.
There were cardboard boxes and plastic bins full of evidence in the courtroom today as U.S. government prosecutors laid out their case against 29-year-old Aaron Shamo. Mr. Shamo was facing a man.
The trial lasted 18 days. Among the witnesses to take the stand for the prosecution were members of Shamo's organization, Sean Gigi, Katie Buston, and Alexandria Tong.
The jury found him guilty on 2 counts, including one that carries a mandatory life sentence. Prosecutors say Shamo's actions directly resulted in death, but the jury could not reach a verdict on a specific count involving death. Again, a guilty verdict tonight.
Shamo was convicted of continuing a criminal enterprise and sentenced to life without the possibility of parole.
I've heard criticism about the sentence and how fair is that for a young man, in his 20s. How fair is that? We know that there's more than one death. We know that there's tens of deaths in customers who are on his list. How much more serious does it get than that?
I hope that while he's in prison, that he recognizes and realizes and has a long time to think about all of the hurt and pain and carnage that he has unleashed upon people's lives.
Devin!
That's pretty gut-wrenching when you go out to the cemetery and there's a headstone with your kid's name on it.
Service at the ready. At Mercedes-Benz, it's not just a job, it's our mission. From our expert technicians armed with state-of-the-art tools and technology to genuine parts made for the perfect fit. Whether it's our place or yours, we're there. Rain or shine, day or night. No one knows your vehicle better. To learn all the ways we can be at your service, call, click, or visit a dealership near you.
Amy's epic lunch? Easy. She's stocked up on Daily Harvest. It's one decision that can make a lot of other decisions easy, like getting nourishing food built on clean organic dinner or breakfast. Get started today at dailyharvest.com.
Hi, Susan. Honey.
Yeah?
I respect that, but that cough looks pretty bad. Try this new Robitussin Honey Severe.
The real honey you love, plus the powerful cough relief you need.
Mind if I root through your trash?
New Robitussin Honey Severe. Strong relief for your severe symptoms.
Wow, what a year, how about some cheap movies and shows, prime video. Go around his back, tap on the app, watch last holiday, or sleep back today. One thing to hear, Mabel's the cheering best from the pack, filling the air.
My gift to you.
Enjoy watching movies and TV shows, streaming and bringing one prime video. Wow, what a year, cheer starts right here, watch anytime, included with Prime.
Do you struggle with dull, dry skin and find yourself reapplying moisturizer throughout the day? Try Olay Ultra Rich. Olay's luxurious moisturizer melts into the skin. It's formulated with vitamin B3 plus peptides and shea butter, providing lasting hydration for up to 24 hours. There's no need to reapply and no greasy residue. And for enhanced hydration, try Olay Serum. Just one drop has the power to renew 1 million surface skin cells. For deep, lasting hydration, try Olay. For skin that never holds you back, don't settle for silver. #1 for diabetic dry skin. #1 for psoriasis symptom relief. And #1 for eczema symptom relief. Gold Bond, championing your skin. The Shark Vac Mop, the all-in-one disposable pad that vacuums up debris other pads push around. Then it spray mops tough messes. Just vacuum, then spray, and toss. The Shark Vac Mop.
Harvard with an update on our breaking news story this hour. President Trump signed a COVID relief bill and government funding package. Reportedly just hours ago, this avoids a shutdown and extends benefits to millions of Americans. President Trump previously refused to approve that bill, blowing past a Saturday deadline to prevent an estimated 14 million Americans from temporarily losing unemployment insurance. The agreement now signed will extend jobless benefits until March, but millions are still expected to lose a week of benefits due to the delay. Now, back to the forgotten epidemic.
By the mid-2010s, fentanyl had already become the most dangerous drug ever to hit America's streets. Authorities in places like Buffalo, New York, found themselves totally unprepared for an opioid that was both so powerful and so difficult to interdict.
It was in 2015 when I got a call from people at the Erie County Central Police Services lab, and they were telling me about this substance that they've been detecting in the heroin supply called butyrylfentanyl. And that's when the overdose deaths started to really spike.
Drug dealers and users lacing heroin with the narcotic painkiller fentanyl.
We've already had more than 6 times the number of overdose deaths from opiates and opioids than we had for homicides in all of last year.
It was unbelievably dangerous. We were seeing, in some cases, 2 or 3 overdose deaths a day. It was that overwhelming. It suddenly was the wake-up call that this is not going away, it's actually getting worse.
Our country was involved in the Vietnam War for about 12 years. In that entire conflict, we lost 58,000 U.S. service personnel. In 1 year of overdose deaths, we lost 72,000 people. It's a national emergency.
Cheryl Moore of the Erie County Health Department is in charge of the city's response to the opioid epidemic. Like many others in Buffalo, she has been directly impacted, losing a sister to an overdose in 2011.
I feel like all the Halloween costumes. What I've learned from dealing with this in my family is there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of misunderstanding.
This one, she was definitely a mess. You couldn't even see them hide these pictures. She's trying to hide it.
People are doing anything that they can to feel okay. Whether it's selling their children's toys, whether it is stealing your mortgage money. These are not bad people. They don't need to be locked up somewhere. I think a lot of the things we did in the past, we just didn't know. This is not a moral failing. In my family's journey, we learned this. This is a disease. It's a chronic disease.
When it came time to formulate Buffalo's strategy to fight the opioid epidemic, Moore sought greater compassion and less punishment.
Okay, folks, if everybody wants to get a seat, get settled. I am Cheryl Moore from the Erie County Health Department. I have the privilege of running this task force.
Together with her boss, Erie County Health Commissioner Gail Burstein, Moore convened a new emergency task force, which began meeting in November 2016.
First, I'm going to talk about our overdose trends.
Since then, nearly every government agency touched by the epidemic has signed on.
We have all the stakeholders. If you have anything, any vested interest that's affected by an opioid, you're in the room. And I think that each agency in that room learning what the challenges are of the other agencies was paramount.
We're going to do a presentation today about gathering overdose data.
Perhaps the most difficult challenge was to convince law enforcement that they could not arrest their way out of the epidemic.
They had to trust the health folks to understand that if people were in good treatment, law enforcement wasn't going to have to live with them anymore.
We just got called for an overdose. We're going to see what's happening there. So hopefully we can wake them up before EMS gets there.
Officer John Simonian, a 3-year veteran, has seen his job change from arresting officer to something like wartime medic, trying to keep overdose casualties alive.
The officers that arrive at their first on scene are trained to recognize the signs of an overdose, and they would utilize Narcan.
Did you guys use any Narcan or anything?
No, I don't.
Narcan is the brand name for a drug called naloxone, which quickly reverses the effects of an opioid overdose.
The human brain will last about 4 minutes without oxygen. So we need to get this Narcan into them ASAP, get some oxygen into them. We can deal with everything else later. Every single police department carries Narcan. Every fire department carries Narcan. Family members carry Narcan. We aggressively train the community. If you're not alive, you don't get treatment.
Okay, come on, let's go.
Am I detained?
You're going to the hospital. What exactly did you take? Just the pills?
Yeah, just the pills.
Don't close your eyes. Look at my nose.
Don't close your eyes. Okay, look at my nose. You're on the know what? How many you take? One. Look again. Probably don't do it. It's only nothing like that.
It's just for the back pain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The cultural shift is you wake up, there's drug paraphernalia or heroin there, you're going to jail. We don't do that anymore.
I'm on a stretcher over here.
Getting the overdose victim to the hospital was just the first step. To prevent future overdoses, there must be a massive follow-up effort, and it has to happen right away.
We knew that there's a short window after an overdose where somebody would be necessarily receptive to stopping the cycle, and that if it took too long or you had to wait too many days or possibly weeks, we had heard cases months, for a bed to open up, the cycle would just start all over again.
Responding officers are now required to make a report of the incident, key details about where and when the overdose occurred. These reports become points on an electronic map showing in real time how the epidemic is unfolding.
Each dot alludes to a specific incident. Diamonds are deaths, dots are resolutions of overdoses. So when I'm looking at a red diamond, what it shows me is that it was a fatal with no naloxone use. So that person probably was dead. When I look at a kind of a orangey colored diamond, it was a fatal single dose naloxone. Green, fatal multiple doses.
It's not uncommon, I'll get a phone call from Cheryl Moore because she'll look at the map first thing in the morning and say, hey, we had a number of overdoses in this neighborhood, what do we have to do? It allows for that quick, immediate response to the problem.
If an overdose victim survives, Moore is able to quickly assign former addicts trained as peer counselors to connect with them.
They reach out to these individuals, not at time of overdose. We've learned this the hard way. 24 to 72 hours later. And they offer them help. If they need a ride, they will offer transportation. The biggest key that they do, though, is get them linked to medication-assisted treatment.
Medication-assisted treatment is the use of less addictive drugs to wean the body from its dependence on opioids.
The way the disease of opiate use disorder works, the more you take, the more you need. So when your body needs opioids, you have to replace it with opioids. Get people on the right medication so that they're not craving. Get them on the right medication so they're not hurting.
Getting buprenorphine in that emergency department while you're in withdrawal makes you feel better. We wouldn't take a high-risk chest pain patient and just discharge them with no plan. But for some reason, I mean, we did this with patients that were using opiates for years. Patients that have opiate use disorder need to be on buprenorphine for a while. We don't look at it as a substitution for using drugs. We look at it as a treatment, and it's a treatment that works.
But will people addicted to opioids in Buffalo get treatment in time to save their lives?
13 years ago, Subaru created the Share the Love event, where our new owners could choose a national or hometown charity, and Subaru and our retailers would proudly make a donation. But now, in times like these, companies are having a hard choice to make. But Subaru is more than a car company, and as charities struggle, we cannot just stand by, which is why we plan to donate over $24 million again this year. The Subaru Share the Love event going on now.
Online dating? I thought he met a nice woman that way, but I'm not really sure where to look.
Pick up your phone, go to OurTime.com, just take a look. It's easy to take a look on Our Time, the dating site for people over 50. Just like your fingertips, your lips have a unique print and unique needs. Your lips are like no others and need a lip routine that's just right for you. Chapstick has you covered. Chapstick, put your lips first.
We're Carvana, the company who invented car vending machines and buying a car 100% online. Now we've created a brand new way for you to sell your car. Whether it's a year old or a few years old, we want to buy your car. So go to Carvana and enter your license plate, answer a few questions, and our techno wizardry calculates your car's value and gives you a real offer in seconds. When you're ready, we'll come to you, pay you on the spot, and pick up your car. That's it. So ditch the old way of selling your car and say hello to the new way at Carvana.
The only thing a disaster can't destroy is hope.
Centra Minis may be small, but they pack a punch. With over 20 essential vitamins and minerals, they're the most complete mini multivitamin, so you can focus on punching above your weight. No matter how high you set the bar, try Centra Minis.
5 years ago, I told you your mattress was awful. Remember this guy? And we're still using raw eggs, yes. Are you still sleeping on that hot, sticky memory foam mattress, or did you take my advice and buy the only mattress with the purple grid? Because the purple grid inside the purple mattress isn't like all those other mattresses using the same memory foam, which is sweltering and angry and remembers things, apparently. So stop fighting science and get a purple mattress so you can start sleeping.
I need to sell my house. Now, there are a lot of places that claim to know how much it's worth, but they don't really know my house or my neighborhood, and they definitely don't show me all my options. That's where HomeLight comes in. I just answer a few questions, and HomeLight gives me a side-by-side comparison of my options, personalized for my needs. And they'll show me what verified buyers will pay for my house right now. It's easy, and it's free. No matter how you choose to sell your home, selling starts at HomeLight. Get started today at HomeLight.com.
Buffalo's fight against the opioid epidemic comes down to people like April, whose last name we are withholding at her request. She is a yoga instructor who became addicted to opioids as a teenager in the early 2000s. She has struggled ever since.
I used just sporadically in high school, maybe cocaine on the weekends or club drink, but opiates started after my second daughter. I remember taking my first pain pill for back pain, and I remember liking the way I felt. I just remember when I didn't have it, I thought I had the flu first.
April took her first bag of heroin at the age of 26.
The use kept me normal. I had it when I woke up in the morning in order to function. I had a job, I had a house, a car. I was there for my children. When I wasn't stealing or prostituting, I worked for the drugs, and it became just part of my life. 3 years ago, it was the first time that I ever overdosed. I remember going to the bathroom. I had a fight with my boyfriend at the time, and I shut up. I remember putting it away, hiding it, and the next thing I remember, I'm sitting in the kitchen, there's paramedics, police around me. They had Narcaned me twice. I felt so bad, my children were home. All they knew was their mom fell in the bathroom. I could still see their faces, they were scared. And it's just not a good feeling, not a good feeling at all.
Hello? Hi, baby.
April lost custody of her children, and soon after, nearly everything else.
My ex-husband found out what happened, and he used that to take me to court to get custody of my children. I lost my apartment, my car.
You look good. Your hair is still purple.
And then knowing that I lost my girls, I really didn't have that motivation to do right. I fell down worse after that.
How was school? Do I know? Did it ring?
It hurt so bad to not have my children that I couldn't even allow myself to think about it. So I used the drugs then to numb myself even more and not care.
Many drug dependents like April resort to felonies to fund their habits. If they're arrested, they're now sent to a special opioid court in which judges function more like drug counselors or social workers than officers of the law.
Implemented use was more than a little bit age, right?
It really wasn't that much. After testing, it was very, very good.
You think it was a little more than you thought, though, right?
Yeah.
The court was the brainchild of City Judge Craig Hanna. Hanna's main idea was to suspend criminal charges in return for adherence to a strict recovery regimen.
We put their criminal case on pause. Everything is